Now, I wish I could report to you that the framing has started, but of course, if you've been with me before, you know they have not started this framing yet. This is the bottom plate and the top plate for all the walls have been all laid out, have been all marked out and stuff, and this has been sitting here for a few days now. But one thing I wanted to do was add on to what I was talking about the plumber, and I'm gonna put this right where you're seeing the other video where I was talking about how the plumbers installed all their pipes underneath here and drilled holes through all of the TJI floor joists, and you just saw that part. And I was talking about how the guys were it was gonna be difficult for them to install the floor insulation. Well, guess what? They have not installed the insulation under this floor yet. And I thought initially, it was my guess, my educated guess, that they were going to install the insulation before they installed the plywood, thus making it difficult for the insulation guys to install their insulation. How I was explaining to you how I would have done it had I have done it right before installing the plywood, but they had, then it would have been difficult for them to get it through the pipes and notch it and all that kind of stuff, how I explained. But you know what? I think they were a jump ahead of me where they thought, hey, we're going to install the insulation after the plywood gets down, after the plumbers get down, and the plumber might have known that already. And so now, when they install the insulation underneath this floor now, of course they're not going to put that netting. Of course they're going to be able to push it in up underneath, and where you saw those pipes along there, they're just going to push it up underneath the pipes and like that, and then they'll hold it up with that wire that I was explaining to you. And so they're not going to mat down the insulation at all. It's just going to kind of poof down underneath. It's going to stay up high in the floor joist, and then it's going to go underneath the other pipes and up like that, wherever they see the water lines. And that's the other way you can do it. But of course, if you were going to do it before you put the floor down, it would have made it much more difficult. And as for why I was shaking my head, why the plumber would have installed it and drilled the holes through all the TGI floor joists, but as you will recall, I did tell you that he was out here all by himself a couple different days. He had his kids, he had his boy and some other guys, friends of his son, I think, were helping him one particular day, but the first couple days he worked here all by himself. So I guess he figured, hey, it was going to be easier for him to drill all the holes. Then he could step on all the floor joists across here and just kind of fish his lines through, fish his lines through, fish his lines through. Had he have done it the other way, he would have been up and down, 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 up and what? Up and down. All day long, just trying to get all of his things in there. And as it was, he could just kind of push them in through the floor joists and stuff. And I guess that's why he did that. So, you just think about your project. You do it however you think is the easiest, the quickest way for you to do it. Okay? Is there two ways to do something? Of course, there's always two different ways. Install the insulation before the plywood, install the insulation after the plywood underneath the floor, and that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to come under here later on, and they can do that. They can do that later. Like I said before, the air conditioner guys are going to have to come and do their final connections underneath all of their air registers on the floor. Boom, 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 all along the outside edge, all inside. Here's one here. Most of them are on the perimeter, aren't they? There's one over there, there's one. There's going to be a couple over there, and they're all along the perimeter. All of those still have to be hooked up. They've got all their ducting run. If you've been watching my videos, and I hope you have, I've shown you the air conditioning ducting that's all run underneath here, and they still have to do their final termination connections on all of where the registers are. So once they do that, and they probably won't do that until the roof is installed, until the tiles on the roof have been installed, until this gets all dried in from the walls, and they put the plywood on the walls, they put the Tyvek on the walls and all that kind of stuff, and the windows in and all that, and they'll be assured that it's not going to rain, it's not going to get wet in here. Then he'll probably call the air conditioning guys back out. Hey, Joe, come on out. We want you to install those registers, connections, the final connections underneath the floor, so that we can get our insulation guys in here. Okay, so they'll get their insulation, they'll get their air conditioning register final connections all installed. And will the plumbing inspector, will the air conditioning inspector have to come back out here? Probably. He's probably talked to the inspector, and the inspector might say, no, go ahead and make the final connections, and make sure you wrap insulation on those final connections like we were talking about before, and I'll look at that later, or I'll trust you, or whatever the inspector's going to say. And I have no idea. That's between you and the inspector to work out. If the inspector has to crawl back down under the floor with the flashlight, so be it. He'll get underneath the floor. Remember, I showed you there's one location here, and there's another location over there to get underneath the floor. And then he'll shine his flashlight down there. He might take this little section out and crawl over here to this one right here, and then he might look at that one right there, and he might look at this one right here, and if he sees that those are all done, and the contractor says, oh yeah, we've done all the other ones like that, okay, yeah, those look good, fine, or he'll check these, he'll crawl underneath the house on that one there, and he might check 2 or 3 other locations. See, right here, you can get underneath the floor right there, okay? And then he might crawl over to that one, and that one, and just check those. And if he's happy and satisfied with that, he's not going to crawl around and check every single one. But once he gets that, then guess what? The insulation guys can come and do all the stuff underneath the floor. And then once that's done, the structural inspector, he can look at that at final inspection or something. He doesn't have to come out. That's not holding up anybody, right? Not holding up anybody. They can have a big old party down there. The contractor can have a couple, if he has a son or a friend of his wants to make a few extra bucks, he can come out here on the weekends, and however long it takes him to put all this insulation in underneath, he can do that. It's not holding up anybody. Everything else can be done. So that there's some good thought on that. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to finalize, maybe give you some thoughts and ideas when you're running your water lines under here, when you get ready to install your insulation. What's your different choices, whether or not you run your water lines through the TGIs like he did, or if you run it underneath, like I was saying, I thought he should do, but it made sense for him because he was, like I said, he was working by himself, and he probably thought, yeah, I'm gonna burn up a couple drill bits here, but I'm gonna do what I have to do to get this job done, drill out all the holes. Thank goodness it was all TGI floor joists so that he could do that, right? And then he just kind of fished his pipe, and then he could stand on the floor joists and then just kind of go a little bit, and then just kind of go a little bit, and then just kind of go a little bit, and do all that. And he was working up on top of the floor joists instead of crawling around underneath, up and down, jump down, jump up, jump down, jump up, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's probably why he did it the way he did. Okay, well, that's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos, and hopefully, I say hopefully, the next time I come out here, they'll have some walls up. Hey, there's not much more that I can talk about at this point. without having these walls up. That's the next thing on the schedule for this project. Hope you're learning stuff, and don't worry, I'll have more videos to come on how to build a house. Look what I see way over there. It's the excavator. What's it doing over there? Well, it's the next evening, and look at this. It's all covered up. I'm standing right where that trench was. Remember that big pile of sand, gravel material that was over here? It's all gone. There's just a little pile left, and they got it all covered up. They must have had it inspected today, and they've been busy. And you see, remember those two little pipes? See here? Look at that. That's that flat pole string they use. It's this stuff, man, you can't break this stuff. I thought it was a little wider than that. See, they did the same thing for the electrical. This stuff here. And they've got one in here too, so look at that. They hooked those up the next day, well, today, this morning, and they ran that through here, ran it all the way down there, and see, on that smaller pipe, they use these. They use these here, long sweep 90. That's what I call that. Okay, and they ran that down there through the trench, and they covered it all up. Wow, they did a really good job, really good number on that, didn't they? And here they put in one box here that says water, and I'm not sure why they put that right there, but because usually they're right next to the street or something. And see, they actually covered up everything, and they got that pole wire, that pole cable all the way into there. Oh, actually into this right here. Remember, they've got this all filled up. They had to have lifted that up and fished the wire through there, and maybe they got the electrical department out here and all that, and got their fish tape in there. So I don't think they only have the fish line in there, and so they don't have the main long cables that go all the way over to here for the electrical yet. Okay, they moved all their stuff over there. They got this kind of, you know, it's not graded properly just yet, you know, but it's coming along. And it's funny too, remember the camera that was on this electrical panel? I mean, it's still there. I don't want to get too close, but I'm pretty sure it still works. It's kind of up in there, but it used to be powered by a little solar panel over there. Remember, we heard it go off a couple times. I don't know if it's going to go off today or not, but I talked to the general contractor, and he says he gets notified every time I walk by here, and that thing goes off. And so it works pretty good up there. Okay, so the one other thing I noticed, remember they had that water pipe here. Looks like he kind of tagged it because it's kind of gone over here at an angle, and I'm not sure if that's hooked up to the water all the way or not. I thought it was, and maybe it still is, and it just kind of pushed the pipe over a little bit, but they're going to have to, after they get all this wood moved, after they get everything framed, and yes, the framers have not been here yet, then they'll probably dig a trench from here over to where the water comes into the house over there. I don't think they have to go over to here, and we just saw that they put that water container over there, but see, this is water too. See here? Water. Okay, and in any case, I'm not gonna really concern myself too much about that. They've got it figured out. They know exactly what they're doing, and I'm gonna come over here and talk about something else here in a minute. But it's just kind of fascinating how building works at a job site and stuff. And you know, it's just little by little changes every day, and eventually this house is going to be built as soon as these guys get here to frame. See, that's where the water connection is. That's where they're going to go with the water from there, digging a trench all the way over to there. And of course they can't do that until all this wood gets moved and gets formed and all that, gets framed. I mean, obviously they could, if they really were desperate, they could take that forklift, that big old forklift, move all this wood, you know, over further so that they could get the excavator in here to dig that water line trench. But hey, that's for another time. It's not really that necessary to get the plumbing water, the main water hooked up, as much as it's important to get all the electrical stuff done like they did now. Okay, to the electrical panel. Doesn't that look kind of funny? That is going to power up this whole entire house one of these days, right? Okay, well, that's all I wanted to show you about that. That's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos, and I'm gonna make one additional video ad that I'm gonna talk about here in a minute. So check that video out too. Of course, it's gonna be in the same place where you're gonna find all these how to build a house on my channel. Go to my main YouTube channel page on YouTube, VideoJoeKnows on YouTube, main channel page, and click on playlists and scroll down to how to build a house.